Hi guys, welcome if you're new, and if you are not, welcome back. My name is Diva and I'm a Libra, hence Diva the Libra, and welcome to my channel. Today I am behind the camera because I am doing a 2025 reading journal flip through. If you guys have been on my channel before, you know that this is a hobby that I picked up in recent years, which has been like one of my favorite pastimes. Great way for me to record the books, manga, the webtoons that I read throughout the year, and so let's jump right into it. I'm going to show you guys briefly my cover pages for my journals from the past 2 years. This was one for 2022, 2023, and then this is the one from last year. And I'm showing you each of them because each cover page kind of thematically sets the tone for what the rest of some of the pages are going to look like. And so this one was kind of like diary-esque, and so a lot of them like looked diary-esque. And then this one was more like 2000 library-esque. I had fun with this, and so because this was kind of like, you see the notebook paper, the stickers, a lot of the other pages, if you've seen my 2024 journal setup, were like kind of in that same vein. And so this is my 2025 reading journal page because I started showing you guys briefly a physical journal this year for like my personal use, and so I kind of wanted my reading journal to reflect that, even though it's on my iPad. And so I found this plaid background on Pinterest. You've probably seen me use it in like a couple other things on here. I just really like the way it looks. And then I found like a junk journal sticker set on Pinterest, and then I pulled from the set like what I wanted to, and so this is what it looks like. The great thing about Procreate, which is where I've started making my journal pages, is that it has like a lot of nice fonts, and so this one kind of looks like chalk, kind of like it's handwritten, and so that's kind of what I wanted to go for. And so this 2025 reading journal belongs to. And then over here, similar to how I kind of have in my physical journal, is a little Polaroid of me, which is a picture that a friend took of me that I turned into a Polaroid and put into the journal. Put some washi tape that I found, and then my name, Diva. That's the cover page. I liked how it turned out. The thing about the journal cover page is that I never really know where it's going to take me. Sometimes I go into like the setup with ideas of what I want. Like for this one, I kind of know that I wanted in some capacity to have like a library element, like some kind of identification, which is like where the library card came in. This one I kind of just like jumped into it, and I'm really happy with how it came out. So yeah, that's Diva's 2025 journal setup. And so now let's jump into the rest of the pages. And so this is my 5-star reads page, which is exactly what it sounds like, which is where I'm going to record the books that I rate 5 stars. A bad part of me doesn't imagine this page being very full. Not because I don't intentionally try to gravitate towards works that I think I'm going to enjoy, of course, but I'm just very picky with my 5-star reads. Like 5-star reads, in my opinion, are books that I like, not like necessarily can't stop thinking about, but like I always like look back to, I think about like, oh my god, I really enjoyed that. I don't enjoy being picky, but that's the hand I was dealt. So this is an idea that came from like one of the earlier journals that I did that I just liked, so I was like, why not bring it over? Like not everything has to be different each time. Also to kind of point to how I was talking about before, like the journal cover page kind of thematically dictates like what the rest of it is going to look like. Similar to how there was like the red plaid in the back of this, there is like the orange plaid in the back of this with like the kind of manila paper, like it's from the journal page. So yeah, for the 5-star reviews page, the same font as the font I used on the cover page. It's kind of a gallery framed wall where I'll put each of the covers of the books that I really enjoyed. And next is my to be read list, my TBR list. Very much a mood reader. I've mentioned that before on here. And I feel like a TBR list in the past has made me feel like, oh my god, like I really need to be reading that book next. That's not what this is for. These are books I noticed last year or like from previous years that I was like, oh yeah, I want to get to that this year at some point. So that's what this list is. I'm not going to like push myself to be like, oh, I'm going to read this book next. Just like a lot of different books that have like caught my eye. I talked about The Friendship Study in like one of the last videos that I did. Famous of a Small Town is a physical book that I have. Gideon the Ninth is a series that I've heard a lot about, and apparently it's told in its second person point of view, which is really interesting to me. There's a Reel by Kennedy Ryan. So as you can see, a lot of different genres here. The Rifle of Elephants is just a synopsis that has really interested me. A story where one day all of the white people, no, I'm not sure if in America or in the world, just like walk into the ocean, and what life looks like after that. Hope is that like when I do read the book, I'll like check mark over it or maybe like scratch it through. This is my lowest rated page. Did I make this page low-key because I wanted to use this like little meme that I had from a previous journal that I did as well? Yes, it's like Tyra Banks saying, it is so bad, I want to give you a 0. This will not include DNF's do not finish. This is just going to include like the 2 stars. This page, coincidentally, that I was just talking about it, is my do not finish page, my DNF page, which is where I will put all of the books that I do not finish. I'm very much a chronic like DNFer. Life is too short to be reading books like really are not like catching your attention. Next is the alphabet reading challenge, which is just like a new challenge that I wanted to start for myself this year. Right now it has I Hope This Doesn't Find You, because that is the book that I am currently reading. And actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me jump into what the challenge is first, which I feel like kind of you guys can see from the page, which is that I'm going to challenge myself to read a book that has a title that starts with each letter of the alphabet. To make my digital journals, I have like a lot of letter sets. So one of the letter sets I have is one of these like keys, like little like beads. And so once I found that again in my camera roll, I was like, let me just use this. So I laid them all out like this. And then because it didn't fit all on one page, I put it on a second page as well. And the next page is my genre tracker page, which is something I had last year, but I feel like I was not really good at all with like upkeeping with it, which was unfortunate and totally my fault. First, I want to point out, of course, disclaimer, I know that YA is not like a genre, it's a age group, but this is really just like for my own recognizance. I just like to know like if I read like a YA thriller versus like a adult thriller versus like a YA romance versus like an adult romance. It's really just like from when I look back at like this shelf at the end of the year. And so of course what I'm going to do is like in accordance with the genre, fill in the spine. And so if I read a fantasy, I'm going to put like purple in there. So for example, if I read like a YA romance, I put it in like half pink, half green. And so the next page is the books I read in 2025 page. I've been using another template that I found on Pinterest for this, but I kind of wanted to switch it up this year. Just like, it's good to try new things. I also like this spread is a little bit smaller than the other one. I can see the spines like more clearly just like up front. And so yeah, there's these little plants that came with it. And as you guys are going to see when I show you like a flip through of my 2024 journal, I'm going to fill in each of the spines in accordance with like the books that I read this year. This will not include DNFs, only books that I finish. This is one of my favorite pages at the end of the year because I just like to look at all of these spines that I filled in. I don't always go exactly in accordance with what the spine of the book or the manga actually looks like. Sometimes I'll pull elements from the cover, but it's really just for me, like when I look at the spine, I can be like, oh, that was like that book. And then each month gets its own kind of like journal cover page, if that makes sense. So this is the one for January. I kind of like shifted the journal just to have a little fun with it. And like I said before, I have a lot of letter sets. And so I found a magazine letter set that I had in my camera roll. And I pulled and pulled until I had placed the letters to write out January. And so each month then has its own kind of like bookshelf where I then keep track of books that I've read in that month specifically. I'm not sure exactly if this will include DNFs or not, or if I'll just include them on the DNF page. It doesn't really matter, but we'll see what happens. On this side of the page, I plan to include the books and their star ratings. And then on this side, in previous years, I've had things like playlist of the months, like have their own pages dedicated to them. But I wasn't really sure if I wanted that this year. I'm not really sure, to be honest. And so on this page, I plan to kind of capture and keep track of all of the just like general media I've consumed. And so this is like the title of an article that I read recently. A couple days ago, I binge watched 2 of the My Big Fat Greek Wedding movies from the series. And so yeah, that's my 2025 journal setup. I feel like I was going kind of fast. I love to talk about my book journal, my reading journal with people. It's like one of my favorite pastimes. And so I also love to look at like people's like physical reading journals. I just feel like artistically, you're supposed to have fun with it, of course, but like artistically, I'm like not there yet. And I kind of like as somebody who wants to be creative, but like necessarily doesn't feel super freehand drawn artistic sometimes, I like the skill set that Procreate offers you by giving you like different pens, like different markers, like different things like that to use. And so now I'm going to be doing a brief flip through for my 2024 book journal. Not really sure if I'm going to talk during this or just play like ambient nice music. Just like I kind of said before, I didn't necessarily like finish this one. Towards the end, I kind of tapered off and got a little bit lazy with like playlist of the months or like keeping track overall of like the books that I read in that month. And so you'll kind of see things like taper off as the book journal starts to continue. You won't notice like month cover pages as much, but I think I'm just gonna like flip through and let you guys see, especially the spreads that I did for like my 3 stars or above. But I'm just gonna flip through and I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, I lied. I am going to talk a little bit because I just want to like flip through again of like some of my faves from this past year that I did for the individual journal pages because like, sorry, but just like look how cutesy. I really love the usage of color in Ashley Poston's covers. It was just so vibrant. Even though I really loved the rich blue in the cover for A Novel Love Story, I wasn't really in love with that book this year. Keep it at a 3-star rating. But I was kind of looking at that as I was swiping through because like, of course, you look back in the year, feel differently about books like as you look back on them. But yeah, I'll leave that at that. This is my one for Hench. I like how I was able to incorporate the cover into the background. And in reflection, I would maybe rate this like a 3.25. The ending of that book really threw me off. I'm also curious, the sequel for this book has been like pushed back a couple of times, and I wonder if it's out yet. One of my favorite romances of last year. Adore how this page came out. I feel like at first I was really trying to go like exact carbon copy for like how the cover looked, but then I was like, let's have fun with it. Particularly love how like the kind of sun peeking out from like the mountains. When you're in preview mode on Procreate, you can't like zoom in. You guys can see like this little Polaroid here, which is a feature if you've seen throughout the pages. I like to sometimes use similar features for different pages. So like this Polaroid thing, I'm almost positive I also used in page 4 First and Then by Emma Mills. This is a book I read towards the end of the year that I really ended up enjoying. And funnily enough, that's why I say like I'm really like a mood reader. I had this book out for like months from the library, and there's something that just like wasn't incentivizing me to pick it up. I also feel like this book was very marketed as like a love triangle. I'm not saying the book was like wrong in its marketing for that, but I feel like it's pretty clear from beginning, at least from jump, who's going to be like the end love interest. But like how this came out, I similarly like how I was talking about like the little like Polaroid thing, I also use the Sloan feature a lot. One of my last books of the year was Flowers for Algernon. It was the shorter version, like 20-ish page version, not the like longer book. How powerful in like a couple of pages. I can really understand like why they adapted this into a longer work, but I feel like the little ways in which the author utilized like grammar, different things to show how the main character's like intelligence was like progressing and then rapidly like decreasing over time. Really well done. And like you can kind of see from here, I don't always pull exactly like from the cover. This has also had like so many different covers. Really just like had fun with it. And so like there's Algernon and there's, I don't know why his name is escaping me, but the main character. I'm going to give you guys a closer view. So here I switched into like on preview mode so I can like zoom in and stuff and show you guys. This was like books I read in 2024, a cactus, a goldfish, a lamp, a couch, and some other things. Just like kind of getting more close so you guys can see what I mean by like, drawing from elements of the cover to like pull onto the spine. So this is the one for like Hench. This is the one for like the Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School. It's a funny story, but that's the X-Vows. As you can see, a lot of these elements are not on the actual spines of the book. This is like Wash Day Diaries. This is Heartstopper. I read a lot of volumes of The Walking Dead towards the end. I read a lot of manga. So yeah, that is it, guys. I just wanted to show you guys both my 2025 setup and then also give you a brief flip through of like my 2024 one because I feel like I just wasn't as consistent with showing that on the channel as I wanted to be. At the end of the day, journaling is to have fun with, and so see you later. It got kind of dark.